And my guess is that I think all the ingredients are in place for some kind of a blow-off.
Billionaire investor Paul Tudor Jones just predicted this about Bitcoin, crypto, and markets into 2026.
If anything now is so much more potentially explosive than 1999.
And what this means to you if you hold crypto.
I'd want to have a combination of gold, crypto.
This is Signal. When Paul Tudor Jones speaks, big money tends to listen.
Yes, there will be some type of a decline without a question in the next 10 to 20 months, and it will be earth-shaking.
Investors tend to follow. Listen to this 4-minute clip, then I want to share with you my thoughts, what I agree with, what I like. Powerful discussion why Paul Tudor Jones believes the next few months are going to be more explosive than 1999.
And my guess is that I think all the ingredients are in place for some kind of a blow-off. Will it happen? Again, history rhymes a lot, so I would think some version of it is going to happen again.
Right.
If anything now is so much more potentially explosive than 1999. 1999, we were looking at a rate hike in November. Now we're looking at a rate cut. We were looking at 4 more rate hikes before we actually topped in 2000. Now we're looking at 3 or 4 rate cuts, probably at least. So you have monetary policy that's going to take us to real rates of 0 or less, probably, depending upon the next Fed chair. And then the big difference is, obviously, fiscal policy. We had a budget surplus in 99, 2000. Now we've got a 6% budget deficit. So that combination, that fiscal monetary combination, is a brew that we haven't seen since, I guess, the post-war period, early 50s, something like that. And that was crazy times, right, coming out of the war.
But you think that most people who are watching us now, you need to be in this market now. But then the question, as I said, is you have to jump off the train before the train crashes. If you're suggesting the train is going to crash.
I'm not suggesting the train's going to crash. I'm suggesting that we're in a period that's conducive for massive price appreciation in a variety of assets. Will it happen or not? I don't know. There's, if you kind of just look, if you just think about the leverage that we had in 1999, you look at margin debt, and then you look at today margin debt, but you have to throw in leverage ETFs because people don't use margin like they did back then. We're probably a little more elevated than we were in October of 99. It will take a speculative frenzy for us to elevate those prices, right? It will take more retail buying. It'll take more recruitment from a variety of from long-short hedge funds, from real money, et cetera. It'll take a combination of those things. It's not going to go up without flows and without a story. The story's there. It's the combination of the most unique and aggressive fiscal and monetary conditions that we've ever seen.
Okay, if you're right, who are the winners then in that, and who are the losers? Because right now we're looking at NVIDIA obviously being a major winner. Even AMD today, major winner, but there's this unique arrangement that's almost circular.
The circularity makes me nervous. I would say, and I'm going to think of it in broad terms, I think what the markets are telling you, this is an inflation story down the road. If you look at the biggest winners, right? The biggest winners are gold. I think it's up 46, 47%. Bitcoin, I want to say it's up 50 or 60. I'm not even sure. There's a Morgan Stanley basket that's a retail flow basket that has all the meme stocks in it. It's up 67, 68%. So it's really what retail jumps on. So crypto, digital gold, that's obviously something that's very, very appealing.
And does that mean you're jumping on all of that right now?
Well, I'd want to have positions in all of it, for sure. So if you said to me, what are going to be the winners? Again, we have this race.
Right.
The race, realistically, is certainly to the end of the year because that's when everyone marks institutionally. And then you have to figure out what's going to go on in next year. So what would I want to have? I'd want to have a combination of gold, crypto, probably the NASDAQ. I think, I want to say that I've said that before, and I think that's still the right one. And I think whatever the fastest horse is at this point in time probably has a good chance of being that on deck 31.
And Paul Tudor Jones is not the type of investor to always be signaling we're going higher. In fact, he has been very clear for the majority of his career. When it feels like we're getting toppy, he's always been very clear to say that.
Yes, there will be some type of a decline without a question in the next 10 to 20 months, and it will be earth-shaking, it will be saber-rattling, and it'll have Wall Street in a tizzy, and it will create headlines that will be that will dwarf anything that's happened at this point in time.
So his track record is very good. That's why he's a multi-billionaire. And I would say the only thing that I'm hesitant on, not that I disagree, because everything he said, he backed up. I agree with what he said. But the only thing he didn't mention is tariffs. The slowing of the economy on this global scale for this year. Is that a factor for the inverse? But then also that would be the reason why the Fed would cut rates to near zero, especially next term when Trump appoints his next Fed chair, and markets are forward-looking. Let's not forget that. Now, just in, the Federal Reserve has cut interest rates by 25 basis points, exactly like we all thought they would. And the stock market tanked on the news. In fact, looking at the 5-day, it was a little case of buy the rumor, huge run-up, little sell on the news, but if you're just looking at the day, looks like a big sell. And point is to you, crypto actually dipped on the news too. And why is that? It's because everybody knew what the Fed was going to do. This wasn't a bullish surprise. It was pretty expected. In fact, since we bounced off the 50-week moving average, which has been very significant for the last multiple years in this bull cycle, it is not crazy that we may even bounce off it again, retest this 103 to 105 range. If, just looking at the last two bounces over the last multiple years, we tested the 50-week moving average multiple times, right? It wasn't just one bounce and then up only. It was one bounce after the 2020 halving cool down. It was a bounce off it, run up, bounce off it, run up. Didn't quite make it that third time, and then run up into the presidential election. We saw the same thing after Liberation Day. Bounced off it, run up, fake out. In fact, we wicked underneath, and then ultimately saw that bull rally. Same thing very possible today. It would be nothing new. And in fact, we have a big catalyst with crypto to look forward to. And while Paul Tudor Jones owns Bitcoin, he says, look at all of crypto. Let's not forget Solana. We mentioned this in yesterday's video, but here's the CEO of Western Union explaining why they are exclusively sending money. Western Union has tons of clients. They will be exclusively sending money on the Solana blockchain.
So for 175 years, we've been connecting people with technology, and we've been using that technology to move money. This is the next evolution, moving to digital assets and the ability to move money seamlessly, cost-effectively, and rapidly everywhere around the world, using the infrastructure and the scale we already have with modern blockchain technology. We think this is the next evolution, not just in our history, but in how remittances happen around the world. If you're Western Union and you're already moving $100 billion a year across borders, picking a partner that does exactly that, fast, efficient, stable, and secure, is really, really important. And so we went and looked at most of the other alternatives and came to the conclusion for an institutional use case like ours, the Solana blockchain was the right choice for us.
Also, quick piece of news for BitTensor. Chainlink adds BitTensor. We know the BitTensor halving is coming up in about 40 days. That will be big. But the news today is new chain added. BitTensor is now supported by Chainlink's CCIP, which means that BitTensor is now more interoperable with the Ethereum blockchain, meaning liquidity can easily merge from Ethereum to BitTensor, especially as artificial intelligence narrative heats up. Big piece of news today for channel sponsor Zero G Labs. Just in, within the last 24 hours, .0g domain name goes live. This is the first on-chain identity system built for both humans and their AI agents. And what this means is, Zero-G, which is the largest layer 1 built for AI, is implementing, and like I have mentioned, for a deeper dive, for a full understanding, highly recommend you check out our interview. It started, crypto expert warns of AI takeover in 2026, Zero-G Labs, link down below. And just because you made it to the end of today's video, free $50 for anybody listening. All you have to do is sign up for Exchange Partner WeX. There's a 50% deposit bonus if you deposit your first $100. This is free money. The catch is they're just incentivizing you to choose them to trade on. So this is limited time, link down below for those who want the opportunity.